Hey everyone, Mike J here with a quick video about something that I created for you Windows users of Wings. As a longtime Blender user, I really came over to Wings and fell in love with the right-click context menu. I just love the heck out of that as opposed to Blender, where kind of everything is all over the place in various panels and menus and things. Wings has everything right where you want it in one compact, easy to use menu that's just really great. However, as a longtime Blender user, one thing that I really missed in Wings was the chained hotkeys transform abilities that are in Blender. And so what I wanted to do was to see if I could bring kind of the best of both worlds together and bring chained hotkeys from Blender into Wings. So what I did was I downloaded and installed a piece of software here called Auto Hotkey, and this is why it's Windows only, because this software is unfortunately Windows only. I'm sure that Linux and OS X has its own equivalent of Auto Hotkey, but this is what I used to create a script. It's basically a dead easy scripting language that really allows you to do a whole lot of very powerful things with applications in Windows. So well, here's what I basically created. Because this is was taken from Blender, you use the G, R, and S keys to invoke transforms. R is for rotate, S is for scale, and G is for grab or move, which is kind of a Blender thing, but it does make sense once you use it for a little bit. So to start off, if I want to, for example, take this sphere, I'll take it in object mode here. If I want to, let's say, move this sphere in the X, then what I would do is type the G key, and all along the way I have these little tooltip menus that help you to understand where the next step is. So here you have a choice of X, Y, and Z, obviously the major axes, A to ask for access, F to move for free, or N for normal if appropriate. Obviously in object mode, normal is not appropriate, so it just wouldn't do anything. But if I were to then type X, I would then move in the X direction. If I want to rotate, I tap R, and we get a familiar menu here. X, Y, and Z again. A to ask for access, or B to ask for both axis and point. F for free, and again N for normal. And so here we could type Y, and we'll rotate along the Y. You will also notice here that there's also an escape option in every menu. So if you type escape, you'll get a little message saying that I'm exiting the script, and then the script will go away and you can continue on with your business. If I were to type B here, then it would do the standard Wings middle mouse button option of selecting an axis, selecting a point, and then you would do what you need to do. Now scaling in Wings is a little bit more complicated, because scaling, Wings actually split scaling up into 3 separate functions. So I had to, in order to do chained hotkeys with that, I had to add one more layer of menus. So when you type S for scale, you're then asked, what do you want to do? Which mode? Do you want to do an axial scale, a radial scale, or a uniform scale? In this case, I want to scale along the Z, so I type A, and then we'd get our old friend back, which will allow us to choose X, Y, or Z. A for ask for axis, or B to ask for both axis and point. So we'll just tap Z here, and now we can scale along the Z. So those of you who are experienced users of Wings can already probably see how quick this is going to be. To move along the X, rotate along the Y, and scale along the Z, using the right-click context menu would be fairly slow, as it's a lot of mouse movements and whatnot, a lot of clicking. You can set individual hotkeys, but of course that's a lot of different individual hotkeys to remember for all the different modes. So this just makes it really easy. I move it in the X, rotate it in the Y, and then scale it axially along the Z. And it makes it really, really fast and easy to do that. Given that in modeling, 95+% of everything you do is transforms, having them be really fast and efficient, I think, is important, and it was something that I really missed from Wings, and I think this really, from Blender, and I think this really makes Wings a really very efficient modeler to use. I think it really does bring the best of both worlds together. Okay, so there is one other thing that I also created in here, which is a special functions menu. I created the menu for a couple of reasons. Number one, there were a few fairly frequently used functions that I liked to have quick access to that were kind of buried deep in the right-click context menu. Things like creating and freezing virtual mirrors is one example. And so I wanted something that a quick menu that I could use to get access to those things a little easier. Additionally, I also, in using the G and R keys for move and rotate, I took a couple of frequently used hotkeys within Wings, and so needed another way to get those functions back. In the case of G, it's selecting edge rings. In the case of R, it's resetting the view. So what I have is the special functions menu, which you get by tapping the Q key, and when that happens, you get these various options here. You notice all these keys are right under the left hand, at least for a US standard QWERTY keyboard. And so you'll see that there has a few functions here that I put in here, and this is completely customizable. You can change it to be whatever you want. But for selecting edge loops, for example, is QQ. So you Q to select the menu, and then Q to bring then actually select the option. So let's go into edge mode here, and I can select this, and then I can zoom into this a little bit, and I can go QQ, and it selects that. Now I have pre-selection highlighting also enabled, so I don't have to actually click. I can just QQ, 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 and select all of those. To do the edge rings, it's just Q, in this case, W. So QW, QW, etc. Just very quick and very easy. And that replaces the G key that I took to do move. For the reset view, it's QR, as you can see here. So we can just reset the view real quick and easy there. And there's other functions in here that you can look at that work pretty well. And like I said, you can change this and customize it to be any way that you want. So, let's see. As you can obviously see from the fact that the script takes over the system default hotkeys in Wings of G, which is the edge ring select and makes it move, and R, which is reset view and makes it rotate, using auto hotkey scripts, you can actually do what within Wings you can't do natively, which is actually change system default hotkeys. You can certainly add all your own hotkeys that you want in Wings, but the hotkeys that come with Wings you really can't change unless you use something like auto hotkey. So this is another kind of cool power of this this application, is that within Wings you can actually change the hotkeys that come with Wings to be something more intelligent, or something more to your liking at least. Another thing that is on these that it does come with this script is well, another forum member, Black Harmo specifically, created a number of cool functions for the mouse, so that you can use the mouse in pretty neat ways to invoke some functions. So for instance, by making a couple of selections here, and then by holding down the left mouse button and scrolling the mouse wheel up, it's actually increased selection. By scrolling it down, it's decreased selection. So that's a quick way to get at those functions. By holding down the left mouse button and tapping the right mouse button, you get invert selection, which is very cool. It's nice to have a quick access to that kind of thing. And if you hold down the left mouse button and clicked the middle mouse button or the wheel mouse, you get select similar, which is the I key in Wings. but this allows you to just get that right from the mouse itself without having to select a hotkey at all, which is very cool. I know he has a lot more. He actually has a script that has a lot more functions using the right and middle mouse buttons as the initial key. So it's he's going to be coming out with that soon. But I included at least those basic ones into the script, so that because I thought they were pretty neat additions and really help again with the efficiency of doing your modeling in Wings. One last quick thing that I did want to go over was that I did put a kind of a global hotkey suspend into the script because, for example, if you want to type something into a dialog box right now, the hotkeys will take over. So in other words, if I want to rename this sphere and I want to call it red sphere, as soon as I type the R, it's trying to go into rotate. So I'll escape out of that, and by holding down the Windows key and typing 1, it now suspends the hotkeys, and I can now type in whatever I want, and then hit Windows 1 again. It will unsuspend the script, so that you are now back to being able to type whatever hotkeys you want. One way to tell, by the way, whether it is suspended or not is Auto Hotkey down in the system tray puts a little icon like this green H here, and whenever it's suspended it turns into an S, and then when you unsuspend, go back to regular operation, it turns back to an H. So that's how you can tell if it's suspended or not. But so the Windows 1 key in this script is a way to make sure that you can suspend when you need to type normal things into dialog boxes and that kind of thing. So anyway, that's about it. As I said, unfortunately it is limited to you Windows users of Wings out there, because Auto Hotkey is limited to Windows only, but it probably could be ported to a Linux or OS X variant or equivalent, because I'm sure there are equivalents out there for those operating systems. But anyway, well, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.